Hello guys, this is a review of the movie Nico and Dani. It's also known as Krámpack. This, I think, is a Spanish film. It's set in a seaside town near Barcelona. It's for sure in Spanish, but you know how in the United States a lot of people misuse the word Spanish, like they use it to refer to like Mexicans as Spanish and stuff like that. But anyway, the movie is about Dani and Nico. Dani is the son of a wealthy family because he has a beach house and like he has food service and teachers that go to his house and stuff like that. And Nico is there, I think it's just for summer vacation. And they have this brotherly bond, this very, very good friendship. You could tell from the minute they set eyes on each other. Like, Dani goes to pick him up at the train station, and they just hug each other and start playing around and goofing around. They decide to go fishing, and once they reach town, they encounter these two girls. They're cousins. And they're like, hey guys, what are you guys gonna do? Like, they know each other, but they don't remember Nico like vividly because he goes there like yearly. But they're like, yeah, what are you guys doing? And they say, we're gonna go fishing. And the girls invite them over for a drink at the bar, and they head over, they start talking, they have a good time. And then the next day, the girls show up at their place and they invite them to the beach. They're like, hey guys, we made snacks, you wanna come over, like hang out, have a good time? And they agree. And that goes on for like a couple of days, and you start to notice how Dani's becoming jealous, like more and more each time. He's like, dude, like we said we were gonna go hunting, we said we were gonna do all these things, and we're not doing any of them because the girls brought snacks and the girls do this, the girls do that. And there's a very funny scene, and takes place in a supermarket, in the supermarket aisle. They're walking down, and Dani's like, so we're gonna get laid, like we're just gonna do them and we're gonna go back to being ourselves and do things, you know, that we normally do, right? Because that's what you want. And Nico's like, no dude, that's what we want. It's very funny because you get to see like, it's like, but does he really want that? And then he sends him over to the condom aisle to pick, well, the condom section, not the whole aisle of condoms, to pick out like some for later that night, or you know. And there he sees this guy that he met outside of his house, who's a friend of his father's. He's older, but like he's not like an old man, but just a lot older for them because they're supposed to be like 16-year-olds. And they talk a little bit, and I'm gonna mention him later on in the story. So there's this night, like fast forward, I don't think it's that night, I think it's the night afterwards, I don't know. And Dani is remembering how his father talks about mixing medicine, like over-the-counter pills, to make this concoction that it's kind of like, I guess, roofies. I don't know, it's supposed to make you horny, supposedly. And they do that, they drug the girls. And this is kind of difficult to explain because, like, they do everything like teenagers do, like, well, bad teenagers. That they're not like, how can I say this? They're not like, like, we're gonna do this, like, we're gonna take advantage of them, but they're just trying to have a good time. Like, I don't even know if I should put it on quotes, I don't know. The thing is, they do that, and one of the girls is like, you know, is feeling herself, they drink it as well, but the younger girl starts feeling kind of nauseous and everything, and it's weird because Dani kind of rapes her, because she's passed out. But I don't know. And then she wakes up and she's like, something hurts like down there, and the girl's like, oh, it's just like your stomach's upset. Like, they don't really, like, I'll talk about it later, but that happens, and nothing happens between Nico and the other girl. But then they get into an argument, and Nico's like, dude, like, I'm gonna go and do my thing, like, you know, this is what I want to do, like, you go your way. And so Dani is riding his bike when he sees the guy that I told you that he briefly met outside of his house and then saw again in the supermarket, and he invites him over to a party that he's having at his house. And there is an English teacher that works with Dani as well, and he actually accepts because he's kind of heartbroken that Nico's probably out there having sex with the girl, and he gets drunk and everything. And Nico does have, like, he does have sex with the girl, but the girl tells him that she has a boyfriend, and so this is gonna be one-time thing, or once in a lifetime. They cannot see each other. They can't, do that ever again. So he's kind of feeling a little bad, and he sees Dani's bike outside of this guy's place, and he sneaks like through the little gate thing, and he notices that he's throwing up. But he goes home, he goes to sleep, and wakes up the next morning and starts asking the people that work there, like, where is he? Like, have you seen him? Because he didn't sleep there. And the teacher, at first, she's there, and she tells him, she knows because she was at the party. She's kind of like playing around with it, and then at the end, when he's like, I think I should I be worried? Should I like go out and look for him? And she's like, no, you know what? Like, truth is, he was with us. He probably had a lot to drink. He's probably hungover, but he's fine. And should I do something? And she says, you know what I do? If it's my boyfriend, then I do something. If it's just my friend, then I let it be. We live our own lives, and we respect our boundaries. Which is kind of an indirect thing to tell him, because they're like, well, if you love him, if you're something more than friends, then go ahead and make a scene. Then that same day, because it's the next day after the party, the writer, because the old man's a writer, and this guy, Dani's actually, he wants to be a writer. He's not yet a writer. And they go out, they hang out, they have something to eat, and they go back at his place, and they want to do it, and the guy's like, are you sure, and then he's like, yeah, I'm sure. But then when he goes to the restroom or somewhere to do something, he escapes, and he meets with Nico, and like they talk it out, they start doing the things that they say they were going to do that they didn't get a chance to do, because I feel like I'm going to talk about what I felt afterwards. And they do that, and then they say goodbyes. He takes him to a train station, and the movie ends with Dani at the beach checking out some guy. And then he goes back into the ocean. So this movie, like I said, is like a coming of age film with like the LGBT kind of aspect to it. It's kind of weird because I think it was either released in 2000 or made in 2000, like, around that age. Around that year, I meant to say, sorry. I read online, there's this interview where they had both of the actors now in their 40s, because they were adults when they filmed this movie. This movie's kind of hardcore, like, and it's funny because the actors mentioned that nowadays it would probably be a lot worse, being that they want to over sexualize everything, and they want to label everything, they want to categorize everything. And back then, this movie, and it's true partially, I think that this movie's pretty bad, but at the same time I get what they're saying, like, it's not like in your face kind of thing, and they really never mention their attraction for each other as something bad. Like, I think the secondary characters and everybody involved knew it, but they kind of like laugh it up, like, it's not like the movie Boy Erased, where they make a big deal and they're like, oh Lord heaven, all hell brought upon us. It's completely different. They see it like as normal. Even the girls that they're like going out with, they see it as normal. Nobody really mentions anything. And it's strange as well, because the writer, like I said, he's much older. He's not an old man, but he's much older than him, and they were gonna do it, and it was just casual. If there's one problem with this movie that I had, was the fact that this guy, Dani, I don't know if it was his acting, I don't know if it was just his personality in real life, but he seems so confident. You know how you reach your 20s, your mid-20s, your 30s, and you start to develop, more confidence. You start to become better, more equipped with social skills, just, natural. Like, obviously, aside from people who suffer from severe social anxiety and stuff like that, but naturally you start to grow, and you're no longer like people talk to you, you're like, oh hey, what's up, like, how to act, and in like, in diplomatic ways in public areas. I don't know if you're, but when you're smaller, when you're younger, like, everything's kind of new, so you're kind of like, oh, I'm kind of scared to go over to that person, like, but then later you grow up and you're like, well, we're all gonna die, like, we don't care. But this guy is supposed to be like 16 years old, and he has this confidence about everything. Like, when I told you that they were in the condom section looking for something for them, and he meets the writer. The writer's like, hey, you know, I recommend this one, and the other guy's like, those are good, but I prefer these. And if somebody catches you in that section, like, wouldn't you be a little bit kind of surprised? And he does show, like, in the whole entire movie, that's probably the only moment where he seems a little bit, like, shocked, but it wasn't even, like, that bad. Like, he actually talks to him and acts like if everything that he's doing is normal, even when they're at his plays and they decide that they can do it or whatnot. He doesn't seem nervous. He doesn't seem like he's like, oh yeah, I've done it before. Like, oh, no big deal. Like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, dude. Oh, whatever. Like, if he's talking to another person that's like his age, so it's, I don't know. That was very interesting, but it doesn't take away from the movie at all, in my opinion. It actually kind of just gives them layers, like, just normalizes everything and normalizes a lot of things that I feel are not appropriate at all. Like, their relationship is by all means not acceptable, not necessarily from Dani's part, because at that age you don't really know what you're doing, so I don't blame him. But the older guy, I mean, he kept asking him, are you sure, yeah, but there's, like, you know, as an adult, you're responsible, you're supposed to make the mature decisions and not take advantage of the situation no matter how bad you want it. But I'm not here to preach. This is just a film. And it was very enjoyable, very real. Like, like I said, this was shot like 2 decades ago. And it's crazy because when I watched it, I remember I picked it up at 5. I was just walking through the store and I was like, okay, this seems interesting. And I picked it up not knowing like what it was about in detail, when it was made, or who starred in it. And I was so surprised when I checked online that it was made so long ago, because it just feels like an indie film. You know how indie films, they have a low budget and everything? I just thought it was an indie film with like a very low budget. And not in a bad way. Like, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need like 400 million to make a good movie. And it's evident, as it is in many other films. But it feels so fresh. It feels so new. It doesn't feel old. And I was very, very, very surprised. I had a good time. I had a very good time. I think it's a very good film. It stands the test of time, obviously. It's very weird to... I searched them up because they're very, very good actors. I wanted to see if I was interested in other movies that they made. And they're in their 40s, so it's like, what? Time flies. But, yeah, I would give this movie a rating of 9 out of 10 in its category. I think it's fair, and I really would recommend it if you're into this genre. It's a very different take on, like, it's something that you really don't see in movies, like, you know, of the genre nowadays. So yeah, I think that's it for this one. Thank you for watching.